As a woman over the age of 50, have you ever thought to yourself, where did I go? The woman who used to feel magnetic, energized, the one who dreamed big, who felt like she had something to look forward to. If you felt like your spark has gone out, you're not alone and you're not broken. You've just been busy. You've been surviving. But here's the truth. Your spark isn't gone, it's buried. And in the next few minutes, we're going to show you how to uncover it step by step. So in this video, you'll learn what it really means to lose your spark and why it's not your fault, how to spot signs that your spark is still there, just buried, why burnout and people pleasing quietly strip away your sense of self, three-part framework for reigniting your curiosity, joy, and motivation, and why even small expressions of you can awaken a powerful new season of purpose. This is not about pretending everything is okay. This is about coming back to yourself on your own terms. Let's start by redefining what we mean by spark. It's not about being upbeat 24/7 or chasing constant excitement. Your spark is your sense of aliveness, the quiet inner energy that makes you feel engaged with your own life. It's a pulse that says, I'm here, I matter, I feel like myself. Think of it like the pilot light on your stove. It doesn't need to be a full flame all the time, but when that little light goes out, everything feels off. Losing your spark doesn't mean you're broken. It means the light inside you got buried by exhaustion, overextension, or emotional overload. Once that aliveness dims, even the most basic parts of life can feel mechanical or gray. So here's where science meets compassion, what we call the science of survival mode, and why your brain protects you by going numb. When you've spent years in overdrive, handling pressure at work, managing family, navigating change, your nervous system adapts by flipping into survival mode. In the state, your brain shifts energy away from joy, from creativity and deep reflection, and channels it toward routine, safety, and coping. Neuroscientist Dr. Dan Siegel calls this neural downshifting. It's a recalibration that deprioritizes passion and curiosity in favor of predictability and protection. The translation: you didn't choose to disconnect from joy. Your brain did it for you because it thought it was keeping you safe. This is why everything can feel flat, dull, or strangely muted, even if nothing in your life looks especially wrong from the outside. It's not your mindset, it's your wiring. And the good news is it's changeable. And together, we're going to work on inclining your mind to joy. So let's dismantle a dangerous lie. Okay. There's a myth that by 50, your best chances for passion, purpose, or success are already behind you. That if you haven't figured it out by now, like if you haven't figured out how to feel fulfilled, you probably never will. I know I've gone through this as well, wondering why at my age I don't feel like I quite have it all together yet. And here's what research says that is completely false. And that's good news. A study from Stanford's Center on Longevity found that emotional well being peaks in midlife and beyond, particularly for women, if we're smart about it. Why? Because at this age, we're more emotionally resilient, we're more values driven, and less likely to get distracted by external validation. So this stage of life is not about decline. It's about distillation, getting clearer about what truly matters and shedding everything that doesn't. If you're feeling the urge to wake up, to shake things up, or finally come home to yourself, you're not late, you're right on time. Now, here's the part I've seen firsthand as a coach. The spark you're missing, or you feel you're missing, isn't new. It's not something you need to build from scratch. It's something you already had long before the world told you who you were to be. The part of you that sang freely, danced spontaneously, dreamed unapologetically. This work that we're going to be doing together, it's not reinvention, it's excavation. We're not creating a new woman. We're recovering the one you were always meant to be. Think of it like unearthing a buried treasure. The map has been folded up in your heart all this time. You just need a moment to unfold it and the right light to read it by. So if your spark has felt a little dim, it's not your fault and it's not gone. It's buried. It's quiet, but it's still alive. And so the question becomes, how do we know if it's still there waiting? And that's exactly what we're going to unpack next. So let's talk about the four common signs your spark is still inside of you. It's just hidden. Beginning with something you might feel tempted to ignore, which is restlessness. That quiet feeling that something is off, that your current life doesn't quite fit anymore, that you're craving more, but you're not even sure what the more looks like. That isn't failure. That's a signal. Psychologists call this a liminal phase, a threshold space where the old version of you no longer fits. The new one hasn't fully emerged. It can feel like frustration or boredom or vague dissatisfaction. Underneath, it's a kind of emotional friction, spark pressing against the shell you've outgrown. This is the spark whispering, this isn't all there is. Let's keep. And if you're feeling this, again, you're not behind. You are awakening. So you can still capture or catch glimpses of your old joy, even if they're brief. So if you've ever found yourself caught, caught in a moment where a memory or a song or a simple experience brought back a flicker of the you used to be, that you felt connected to. It happened to me actually recently. I was clothes shopping. you know, Let me just say from the outset that now that I've hit menopause and I've gained so much menopausal weight, I haven't been shopping in a long, long time because clothes shopping is just a reminder of what I used to be versus what I've become. But I really needed pants. And so when I was younger, Old Navy used to be a store I'd pop into a lot. Um, Back in the day when I was younger, when I was fitter, when I was skinnier, and I felt a little bit more better in my body. And when I went into Old Navy, in that moment, standing under all those fluorescent lights, flipping through racks of jeans and dresses and things, I suddenly remembered how I used to feel in my skin. I was lighter, I was fitter. I felt a little bit bolder in my fashion choices. And I felt this strange mix of sorrow and dismay, like, wow, I have really let myself go. And then something else came in, a flicker of resolve, a spark that said, maybe it's time. Maybe I want that vibrancy back. So these moments don't always feel empowering right away. Sometimes they come with grief. I know I certainly felt awful when I was in Old Navy. I felt regret, maybe some shame. But you know what? That is proof the part of me, the part of you who knows how to shine is still there. Psychologist and researcher Barbara Fredrickson, known for her work on positive emotion theory, describes these as micro moments of positivity resonance. That's a mouthful. Even fleeting sparks of joy or self recognition can begin to rewire our emotional baseline, creating what she calls upward spirals of well being. So the next time something stirs your memory or you catch a glimpse of the woman you used to be, don't dismiss it. These glimmers aren't meant to taunt you or make you feel bad, they're invitations. Your spark is sending you postcards from the past reminding you that I'm still there. Now, here's one of the most powerful signs that your spark is still there. You're still seeking. You are watching this video. If you're a member of my Substack community, you read the articles. Maybe you even scanned self-help books, even if you didn't finish them. You might tell yourself, I should have figured this out by now, but what that really means is I haven't given up. Sparks don't always start with a bonfire. Sometimes it starts with a Google search at midnight or a whisper in your ear, your inner being saying, what else is out there? This kind of searching is sacred because the women who've truly given up, they stop looking. So if you're still curious, if you're still wondering what life could look like if you felt more energized, more vibrant, more you, your spark isn't gone. You're already holding the match. Another sign, you still crave expression, even if you don't know what to say. Even when we feel invisible or silenced or flattened by routine, there's a flicker of creative hunger that doesn't die. It might show up as a desire to write, paint, speak, dance, anything that lets you move through you. An urge, maybe it's an urge to clean out your closet or start dressing like the you that no one's met yet. Or maybe a longing to be seen, not for who you've been, but for who you are re-becoming. Expression is the soul's way of reminding you that you're still there. And that desire, however faint, to share your truth, to move through the world differently, to feel like your full self again, that's not vanity, that's vitality. You don't need to have the words yet or the plan. You just have to notice the craving, and that's where the spark lives. So let's recap. If you have felt restless, caught glimpses of old joy, you've kept searching, or you've quietly longed to express yourself, your spark isn't lost. It's alive, just waiting for more oxygen. But here's what we have to face now. What's been dulling that spark in the first place? Because to reignite it, we have to understand what's been dimming it. And that's what we're going to explore next. All right, so let's think about it. Starting with burnout, because for many women, it doesn't feel like fire, it feels like ash. Burnout isn't simply being tired, it's being chronically depleted. The World Health Organization classifies burnout as occupational phenomenon marked by three dimensions: feelings of energy or depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance or cynicism, reduced professional efficacy. But for the women that I work with, especially over 50, it goes deeper. It's not just about work, it's the result of years, sometimes decades, of overfunctioning, over-delivering, overextending, trying to be overproduction with productive without replenishment. The most tragic part, burnout doesn't just drain your body, it silences your spark. When you're in survival mode, joy feels frivolous, dreams feel dangerous, creativity feels irresponsible. Your nervous system has shut down. It's shutting down anything non essential, and that includes vitality. So if you're feeling numb or disengaged, like you're going through the motions, maybe it's not depression, it might be burnout. And burnout doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been too strong for too long without support. Now, let's talk about one of the most socially rewarded forms of self abandonment, which is called people pleasing. People pleasing isn't kindness, it's a survival strategy rooted in early conditioning, especially for women. From childhood, many of us learned that being agreeable, helpful, and self sacrificing earned love, safety, and approval. But over that time, that behavior becomes internalized. You don't just try to keep the peace, you become the peacekeeper. You become the fixer, helper, the one that's always fine. Until one day you realize you've constructed a life around what others needed from you, not what you needed for yourself. And when your identity becomes a performance, your inner fire becomes a prop light, there but flickering and at risk of going out. So psychologists call this concept, um, it's called self-concept diffusion. When we're so focused on external feedback, we lose touch with our internal compass. Without a clear self-concept, it's nearly impossible to ignite purpose or joy. So if you feel like you've lost yourself, you haven't. You've just outsourced your spark for too long. So let's be honest, midlife often brings a level of routine that's relentless. You wake up, you make the coffee, you go to work, you answer the emails, you cook dinner, you pay the bills, rinse and repeat. It's not that any of these tasks are bad, but what when they come or become all that you do, your days start to feel like a copy of a copy. This is autopilot, and it's the silent thief of aliveness. Autopilot dulls your spark by eliminating the novelty. And neurologically, we need novelty. According to cognitive neuroscience, new stimuli activate here's a good word for you, the dopaminergic. So, based on dopamine, reward system in the brain, fueling motivation, curiosity, and desire. When everything feels predictable, safe, and repetitive, we stop producing the very chemicals that kept us. In other words, a little unpredictability isn't chaos, it's fuel for your spark. So, again, autopilot isn't a schedule issue, it's a soul issue. It's why so many women come to me saying, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, but I still feel empty. The answer isn't to add more, it's to interrupt the cycle, to gently insert the moments of delight, of curiosity, and play. Your spark needs air, and novelty is how we breathe life back into it. So if you've been feeling emotionally exhausted, silenced by expectation, or stuck in a loop of obligation, it's not your fault. It's what burnout, people pleasing, and autopilot do. But now that you see the patterns, you're ready to reclaim your power, which leads us to the next step. What do we do about it? How do we move from numbness to momentum without burning everything down? So here's a framework for for that, for that. So if you've made it this far, something inside you already knows that you're ready. Maybe you're not sure how to begin. Maybe you're afraid to hope. Still here, still watching, and still curious. And that alone is enough to begin. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need a way in, a path forward, something you can actually do. And that's what this framework helps you do. It's simple, but don't confuse simple with shallow. This is going to help you immensely. And we call it reflect, reclaim, reignite. Okay, step one, reflect. The spark can't be reignited until it's recognized. This stage is about pausing just enough to listen, to stop running on autopilot, to sit there, even if for 5 minutes, and notice what's stirring inside. So ask yourself, what used to make me feel like most, how can I feel most like myself? When in my life did I feel most alive, most magnetic? What am I missing that I haven't admitted out loud? Reflection is not indulgent, it's essential because clarity is kind and you can't reclaim what you haven't named. You can start by journaling, go for a walk, um, without a podcast in your ears or music in your ears or being on your phone. You could sit quietly with a cup of tea and ask yourself this powerful question: what do I want more of in my life? Let the answers be messy or incomplete, but just let them come. This isn't about solving, it's about hearing yourself again. Two, reclaim. We're going to reclaim your energy, your voice, small acts of defiance. Once you begin to hear that inner voice again, the one that you've muted for years, it's time to reclaim what it's telling you. Reclamation doesn't mean changing life overnight. It means taking back one thing that makes you feel like you again. It could be waking up 15 minutes earlier to write or stretch or just simply be. It could be saying no without guilt. It could be cooking that dish that you love, but no one else around you enjoys. It could be wearing that scarf or lipstick color, whatever makes you feel radiant. Reclaiming is a spiritual rebellion. It's the moment you stop waiting for permission to be yourself again. So you start to remember, I'm still in here. I still have a say over how I show up in the world. Step number 3 is reignite, to give your spark the oxygen it needs to catch fire. Reigniting isn't about adding more to your to-do list. It's about choosing what fuels you and saying yes to it consistently. Here's where we make space for joy on purpose. Again, that could be blocking out time each week for something that feels creatively nourishing, not productive, just something that you enjoy. You can explore a class or have a conversation or a new experience that stirs curiosity. You can have a weekly ritual that reminds you that you're not surviving, you're thriving. And if you feel like you don't have time, ask yourself, if I don't make time for what fuels me now, what am I really saving my time for? Remember, your spark doesn't reignite in a dramatic moment. It reignites slowly through repetition, curiosity, and choice. And the more oxygen you give it, the more that flicker grows. So here, you're not rebuilding, you're rekindling. So this is what I'd like for you to do today. In the comments, share one small thing you want to reclaim this week. Something you used to love that you're not enjoying right now, something that's been tugging at you, something that feels like you, even if it's small, even if it's scary, especially if it's both. Because the spark doesn't come back when you wait for it, it comes back when you choose it again and again. So now you've got that framework. But here's one more key to sustaining that spark: the power of self expression. Not for attention, not for performance, but as a sacred way of saying, I am here. So we're going to explore that next. So again, you don't have to figure out your entire life's purpose to feel purposeful. Okay, let me say that again, because this just trips us up so much. You don't have to know exactly where you're going to feel like you're starting to feel like yourself again. All it takes is one small act of self-expression, something that tells your nervous system, I'm still here, I still matter, I still get to create who I am. So let's break this down into what self-expression really is, why it works, and how you can start inviting it back into your daily life. So number 1, expression is orientation. It reconnects you to who you are. Expression helps you reorient. It's your internal compass spinning back into place. Not because you have something to say in a big dramatic way, but because you want to write, dance, decorate, sing, style, speak, or just move from your own desire. You're sending a powerful signal to your brain. This is you, not the version others expect, not the version who's efficient or accommodating, the real you. So even small acts of expression can begin to carve out a little corner of you in the day. And in that corner, purpose starts to grow. Number 2, expression activates neuroplasticity, which can shift your identity. So here's the science behind that magic. Self-expression, as we mentioned, activates neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to reorganize and adapt based on new experiences. Even minor creative tasks like journaling or making art can increase self-efficacy, which is your belief in your ability to make change, cognitive flexibility, which is your ability to see new possibilities, and emotional resilience. So in other words, expressing yourself rewires your brain to believe in yourself again. And this is important for us who are in our 50s, when hormonal shifts and cultural messaging can make us feel invisible, irrelevant, or outdated. So every time you express something, you carve a new neural path that says, I'm not fading, I'm evolving. So again, small acts of expression are sacred invitations to aliveness. You know, a lot of people think expressing ourselves is relegated to artists, influencers, public speakers, but we don't need a platform. We don't need permission. We don't even need a plan. We just need our spark in a moment, whatever that might look like. And these things aren't silly, they're sacred. They're how we remember what it's like for us to feel lit from within. And when we feel that, we begin to tap into something deeper, that productivity, or deeper than productivity or routine. We begin to touch our purpose. You know, our purpose doesn't start with a 5-year plan, it starts with a pulse, a beat that says, I'm still here, I have something to give. Now, number 4, self expression leads to self recognition, which fuels self worth. This is the final piece. When we express something true and see it reflected back, we begin to believe in our worth again. We recognize our own voice. We recognize our own insight. And from that place, purpose begins to not just feel possible, but inevitable. When you witness yourself with compassion, curiosity, we stop waiting to be validated. You become the validation. Why I always encourage my clients to start small, because small is enough to reawaken something that's vital. You don't need a breakthrough, you need a brushstroke. You need something small where you can say what you really think. And from there, your purpose starts to find you. So here's your invitation. What's one small act of self expression you could try this week? One thing you used to love, or one thing you've always wanted to try. Drop it in the comments or write it down. Claim it, even if it's quiet, even if it's tender, especially if it's both, because every act of expression is a breadcrumb and it leads you back to your purpose. So now that you've seen it, your spark isn't gone. Piece by piece, moment by moment, you can bring it back. And if you're ready for more than just a spark, if you want a path that leads you to clarity and vitality and momentum, I've got something just for you. And we're going to talk about that next. So this is the moment you begin reclaiming even a sliver of your spark. This is where you start to change everything. It's not that everything's going to become easier overnight. You just begin to change. And here's the thing. If you've been feeling stuck, uninspired, or like you're just going through the motions, this is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the first sign that you're standing at the edge of a breakthrough. And that's exactly what the next video in this series is all about. It's called Feeling Stuck Isn't the End. It's the beginning of a breakthrough. And we're going to explore why stuckness is a signal, how to reframe it as a sacred pivot point, and how to use it to step into your next chapter with clarity and confidence. So make sure you don't miss it. And if you haven't already, download your free copy of our No Regrets Checklist, 10 Steps to Living Fully After 50. It's your first roadmap back to you. 10 steps, one decision, 1,000 possibilities. So make sure you grab that checklist. The link is actually in the description below. And remember to hit like or subscribe if you want more content like this. And then join me in the next video. And let's keep this going. I'll see you over there.